So I saw in Piro's recent videos, he talked about his materialism being based on perception. He's talking about a very different kind of materialism, a skeptical materialism. It always goes back to perception, and I would want to express my strong agreement with this. I agree that perception is primary, and I think it's primary in the sense that neither the perceiver nor the perceived is primary. It's the actual space in which the perceiver and perceived are united by perception that is real. And both perceiver and perceived are both um, you know simultaneous in that moment of perception. Um, and I think Heidegger talked about the Dasein is his world existing for himself. And so yeah, I think that there's we definitely want to put perception primary in epistemology. That we begin as the starting point of epistemological inquiry is the perceived moment. But I would actually go one further and put perception as primary, not only epistemologically but also ontologically, such that every occasion is an occasion of experience. Um, and so this gets us into what Puro was talking about Platonism. It talks about how you first take this materialist approach of perception, and then from there you can abstract things like Platonism and have things like math and stuff. Um, and for me, I kind of want to give Platonism a little bit more credit than that. I think uh, that Plato was pointing to an important insight, which is that the potential is real, in a sense. Because if you think about it, I mean, Plato's philosophy is basically that there are these forms in this transcendental realm, which are kind of emanates down into the physical, and then the physical is like corruptions of that form. So I don't quite believe that, but what I do think he's talking about is he's pointing to is that there are potentials which are real for us, and that's a highly controversial idea among philosophy, and one of the most common response to that is that we start with the real and then abstract from that. But the thing about abstraction though is we talk about it as if there's the perception and then we abstract from that. But in fact, abstraction happens simultaneously with perception. It is an innate quality of perception. Without abstraction, we would not perceive. We would not be perceiving, because no, there is no sense data that says chair or table or wall. I think even so it's like. But we perceive those objects, and even you might point to language and say that language creates the objects, but really, I mean, language. We wouldn't have words for objects if we didn't have object perception first, and I think it seems fairly obvious to me that animals who don't have language still have object perception, and so without abstraction there would be no objects. I think so I think there is something to this idea that the potential is something real and physical in a sense. That's something that actually interacts with us. And in a sense, I think novelty, the advance of novelty, which seems to go in the opposite direction of entropy, which for according to entropy, the universe is like winding down, whereas like novelty there's this advance of novelty which is winding up and increasing. And I think this kind of ties into Taoism. I think Alan Watts talked about how the Tao is basically existence plus nothingness. And so I think that basically, the way we get novelty. Obviously, everything novel is just a novel arrangement of things that already exist. But I think that arrangement comes from something transcendental, some potential that's out there, and we don't have to kind of fool ourselves into thinking that this potential is just abstracted out of reality, because we experience potential. We as actual, we are able to imagine things, and I think and to me, I think actually imagination is perception. It's a perception of something that is potential but not yet actual. And it's often there's hybrid perceptions. We take something actual and imagine what it could be, and I think that's how novelty emerges, is by that interaction of the potential and the actual. So I guess that I'll leave it there for now. Peace.